What is going on, all of you lovely people? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded multicast. Just so you guys know, I'll be doing a multicast on twitch.tv and on YouTube. I'll be doing it on Sundays for sure, and probably one other day. If you want YouTube exclusive, that'll be on Wednesdays, or if you want to hang out with me while I'm playing games, I'll be doing Twitch exclusives on Mondays and Tuesdays. And if you're doing this video on demand, you know exactly how this works. I'm going to throw some stuff at you while I wait for people to join. I already put it out there, but definitely check me out at twitter.com/lore reloaded. It is vital that you guys go there and make sure that you're subscribed to me, because if anything happens on YouTube, that's where I'm going to tell you guys what's going on. If you see the avatars below me and you want to become an avatar, that's really easy. Go to twitch.tv/lore reloaded and you will have your own avatar. You can even buy Star Trek avatars and fight each other or jump or do all kinds of silly stuff. With that out of the way, let's start talking to some people. Daniel Schote, what is going on? Carly Albanese, No Stripe 361. It's always a party when No Stripe is here. We got J Street 3 going from Twitch. We got Something Stupid Games. We got Marlon the Fish over on Twitch today. We also got Surf Nuts, who is saying crazy stuff. Anthony Duke. Never a dull moment with Anthony Duke here. Who doesn't have Twitter? He needs to get Twitter. Anti-Productive Man is here. We also got, I think I already said hello to Carlo Albanese. You guys have been talking since before this, though. Daniel's Hot Topic. I'm glad to be back, man. I'm glad you're here as well. So, with that out of the way, let's just jump on into it. Today we're going to be talking about Lorca, breaking down Lorca, what is going on with him, and all of that fun stuff. A lot of you guys don't like the fact that Star Trek Discovery exists. I'm kind of with you there. I completely understand that methodology. Except for Daniel Hot Topics, who says, yay, Star Trek Discovery Season 2 will be filming tomorrow, so at least somebody's excited about it. One thing I will put out there, until the end of the Terran Empire arc, I actually really did like Lorca. I thought, honestly, he was just top when it comes to all of this stuff. And I thought he was well done and well written. I do think they did character assassination with him, ultimately, in the end. And I think it's really easy to see that. Now, let me go ahead and let me say this. If you are far, far left, if you are so left that you don't like that someone doesn't want politics in their Trek at all, regardless of what they believe, you're not going to have a good time. Because there's going to come a point when all I'm doing is bashing Lorca and bashing the bad writing. The Big E31, I'll take a look at that. Apparently you posted a song and got banned. You shouldn't have. I don't know what that's about. I'll check it. I apologize. ZE Films is now hosting. It's fantastic. But anyway, let's just jump into it. Lorca is an interesting character. He's a different character than what we saw in Discovery. He's a broken character. He is somewhat not Starfleet in a way. He is... I can see why a lot of people wouldn't like him, because Lorca does go against, even before we find out that he's Terran Empire, spoilers, he does go against a lot of what you would think of when you think of Star Trek, when you think of a captain. Usually you think Picard, you think a Janeway. Your worst case scenario, your worst dark captain would be Sisko. And in comparison to what we see with Lorca, I think we can agree that he's not even that dark, right? And so it's something different and something new. But I'll tell you, one thing I really did enjoy about Lorca is that he brought some of the best aspects of other captains to the screen, in my opinion. And here's what I'm trying to consider. Wow, I'm going to have to disable that at some point. I want you guys to consider this just for a second. When they were ordered to go back to the starbase, so, and there's going to be nothing but spoilers here, so if you don't want spoilers from Discovery, I would suggest not watching this one. I think the two of the best times is when they were trying to save the Gagarin, And a lot of this doesn't make sense when you consider the Terran Empire, but when he was trying to save the Gagarin, he would put the ship in harm's way to try to save them. He would do all kinds of stupid things. Stupid. He would do selfless things to try to save the Gagarin. He was willing to have his ship destroyed to try to get them to save them, right? He was willing to take hits when the ship couldn't take it. Then, when you have the Klingons are coming to destroy the planet, I forget the name of the episode, and he's arguing with the Admiral, and the Admiral orders him back to the starbase. And so instead of using the spore drive, he orders that the ship goes to warp because that's slower. And during that time, you sit there and you have him trying to figure out with the people, all right, how are we going to save these people? You have X hours to figure this out. Now, there's no way he would have known that they were going to figure out a way that would help him get to the Terran Empire. It was very, very Kirk-esque, honestly. He really reminded me of Kirk in that situation. There was a lot good with him, and the fact that he was damaged was interesting to me. I don't think it was Trek, if we're being honest. Big 31, or someone says I need to fix my bots. I saw that, the Big E31. I'll look into that at a later point, my brother. After this, I'll see why it did that. To attack me, if you're wanting to attack me with an avatar, do exclamation point, I think it's attack, and then my name put together. Or spaces, one or the other. At Lore Reloaded, it's easier to take shots at another when you leave the battle at any time. That's true. Could have been that he cared for humanity, whether Prime Timeline or Terran, talking about the inconsistencies. He's poorly written when you consider the end of the Terran Empire arc. It really is just kind of thrown together in that instance. It's pitiful. In a way, really, and I think it's complete and utter character assassination. But let's begin from the beginning, and let's just break him down. So, you have this captain who has been through this just horrific situation, right? And he had to, I forget if he abandoned them for sure. I don't remember if he killed them himself. I think that he did. So, let's think about that. Let's break that down. He also has PTSD. Definitively has PTSD. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Because a captain having PTSD it's original series Trek to a degree. I think we would have seen that in a original series. By the way, if you guys are noticing, apparently everybody's attacking me and my character can't stay there for long. But I don't think it was the Next Generation. Really wasn't even Deep Space Nine. Not really. I don't think we would have seen a hero with PTSD. Well, you had Chief O'Brien. So it might have been DS9. Not Voyager and not Enterprise for sure. But what's your guys' thoughts? So when we have a captain with PTSD, he's a damaged individual. What do you guys think? At Lore Reloaded, they just tossed a Trump hat on him and called it a day without making it make sense. Absolutely. It was absolutely horrific to do the parody or to bring him together with Trump like they did. It did nothing, and it divided people. It served absolutely no purpose. By the way, and instead of attacking, if you do exclamation duel, the guys will fight each other. At Lore Reloaded, I love his "Don't take my ship, she's all I got." I just felt so sorry for him, like with all the scars, and then you take his home, his family, and his job away. I agree with that, but it's funny because it was cliche because you knew something was going to happen to her, right? You knew at that point something was about to go down. Someone asked if I thought that Prime Lorca would come back. I don't think so. Prime Lorca would have died, because if you remember, the way they actually put it together is that Prime Lorca was beamed aboard when Terran Empire Lorca's ship exploded. And so, I think he was killed in that. If they brought him back, I think it would be a stretch. It would be timey-wimey stuff. Things that really wouldn't make all that much sense, in my opinion. Nate Watson, Giving a super chat, guys. If you don't know, this entire affair is fan funded. I can't rely on things like YouTube, which would ban me, and then it completely screws over my month. So, hey, if you like supporting the show, consider super chats, consider the donate button on Twitch, or become a patron at patreon.com/Lore Reloaded. Nate Watson, I guess the closest equivalent to that scene in a previous series would be if we got a magic meeting room scene in the Year of Hell timeline. We also saw PTSD with Picard in First Contact. You know, that's a good point. I didn't consider... That's an interesting point, in my opinion. Because I guess Janeway would kind of have PTSD in the Year of Hell, wouldn't she? And she did a lot of stupid stuff. And then you have Picard, who... had PTSD with the Borg. Huh. So, in that case, I guess PTSD and broken characters in that way, even characters willing to fight, isn't outside of the norm. Dare I say Discovery did good writing or consistent writing in that? Let me ask you this. Do you guys think Lorca was a good character before they decided to before they used bias and agenda with him? And do you think he was a Trek character? I'd be curious for your opinions on that. Can't blame the dude for getting his sweetie on. I don't blame him. At Lore Reloaded, I already read that one. I think the PTSD makes for a better wartime captain because they will go above and beyond to fight the enemy, like Picard versus the Borg in First Contact. Anti-productive man becoming a lore master, following us on Twitch. What's up, buddy? I don't remember a Cisco PTSD moment. There wasn't, but there was Chief O'Brien had a PTSD moment. He attempted to kill himself. Benjamin Norris, what's going on, sir? If you guys don't remember, he had been people messed with his mind to an absolutely huge degree. And so he was, towards the end of the episode, he was talking about how they told him he was an evolved human, that he was supposed to be above all this, that he was better than that. And then they go out of, and then, he is having trouble being this evolved human. It kind of goes back to what I was talking about, where they sit here and they talk about how there's this standard, and if you don't meet the standard within the Federation, you're wrong or you're bad. It completely gets into that. But he takes a phaser, he sets it to kill, and he's about to kill himself. He's about to swallow a phaser. And so that is definitively pretty bad. Nate Watson in the house. Then we're going to go back to Big E31. Just Ryan also gave us a possible PTSD. Jerry Ryan also gave us a possible PTSD scene in the episode they found the Raven. She deserved an Emmy for that. I don't remember that one being... I'd have to go back and see that. I don't remember that being a huge deal. The Big E31 said he doesn't think he's a Trek character. I could see why people wouldn't see. I could see why people would not look at him as a true character. Bringing the Romulans into the war could be a Cisco PTSD moment. He was so traumatized by the scale of death that he broke his own morale to shift the balance. I don't know if that was PTSD. You could see him break, though, when he threatens the dude who was doing all of the... remember the guy was encoding it, and the guy was trying to leave. He said his deal was done, and he pushes him up against a wall, and he says, "You're done when I say you're done." I could see that as an PTSD. Lore Reloaded, with Cisco destroying the Maquis planet be considered PTSD? No, I think that's just pure evil, is what that is. Just absolutely evil. I have a cold feeling that Lorca or Philippa Georgiou showing up on the Enterprise, take command of the USS Discovery. I don't see that happening. I could see... I think... Saval, you were already following me. Why are you not following me again, bud? I think that Lorca may return. I don't think Georgiou ever will. Have you, at Lore Reloaded, have you heard about Arlie Ermy dying? He was my favorite actor from Full Metal Jacket. I don't think I've seen Full Metal Jacket. Hey, Lore, before we go to the topic itself, have a recommendation for you. Super Saiyan Man, if you have a recommendation, send it to James at lorereloaded.com if you could, sir. I think he was a good character, but in original Trek, he would be the counterpoint to the main captain, who would be pacifistic. In the original series, I don't think so. I think Lorca would still have been considered extreme, but I think he would have been more accepted. I don't think he would have been this evil guy like you would see in The Next Generation. How did you guys feel? Now, let's remove the whole Trump thing, which was just stupid. And, you know, it's stupid for... A lot of people get upset because they're like, oh, I didn't know you were a Trump. I'm going to go tell all my Reddit friends. Somebody actually said that, like I give a damn. But, first off, I'm not saying that because I like Trump. I've never stated that I like Trump, but it just divides people. But let's remove that part. To find out that he's a Terran Empire guy, that he's from the Terran Empire, what do you guys think? What's your opinion on that? Was it a cool twist? Was it something they wanted to do? Something that made it interesting? And if they hadn't brought that whole stuff in, if they made him like a villain from the Terran Empire, and they didn't do what they did with him, would you have been okay? Could you have gotten behind that? What are your guys' thought on that? I was talking about TNG. It would be Picard and him speechifying at the end of the show, says No Stripe 361, when it comes to Lorca not being able to fit in. Of that, we would agree. We in the States have your back most of the time, says Donald Hudson. Well, I got your back too, baby. Joshua Daniel in the house, at Lore Reloaded. I think that Lorca, to really work, he didn't need a foil. The dark captain doesn't work when there's not a cliche good captain to square against him. Writing 101. You know, so if they're going to do that, if they're going to sit here and make him evil, I think Michael would have been the foil. Or even if he had come back and somehow stayed the captain, I think Michael would have been the foil, in my opinion. I'd be curious what your guys' thoughts on that is. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Michael, but if he's going to stay, he needs a foil. I would agree with that. I think Michael would have done that. Marlon DeFish, at Lore Reloaded. I didn't like Lorca as a captain until they revealed he was Terran. It made his character make sense. He always seemed out of place as a Starfleet officer. Admiral Saval, I know Moonves... He said they will simulcast Season 2 Discovery on TV and All Access. Yeah, Admiral Saval, I know you've stated you're an insider and stuff, man. It would be interesting if they did that. That's what I'll say. I didn't like Lorca as a captain. Here's my thing. There's going to be, if you're going to have a war, you're going to have people who have post-traumatic stress syndrome. You just are. And so the fact that you have people that has that is, I can understand why people don't like it. It's not Gene Roddenberry Trek, but I think that Lorca, not talking about anything else with Discovery, but Lorca's character, the way Isaacs portrays him, is a natural extension of DS9. I think that would be a logical progression to continue if you're going to go down this dark road that we see in Deep Space Nine. Some people are asking, is YouTube further behind than Twitch? Usually Twitch runs a little bit further behind than YouTube does. I'm looking at two different chats, so the fact that I may be getting to other people first is just because I'm looking at two different chats. Aaron Alexander, there seemed to be a lot more moral gray areas in Discovery, which was something new. Doing bad things for the greater good, etc. Yeah, so here's something. If you know me at all, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Discovery. I don't like Discovery at all, ultimately. That said, Star Trek has always tried new things. They've always went in new directions. They've always pushed boundaries. And the one thing I will give Discovery is that it did that. That's what I'll say. It definitively push boundaries that we had never seen before. Let's see. This stream is a hard one for me. I really haven't kept up with Discovery. Still love the live chat, says Donald Hudson. Well, Donald Hudson, you don't necessarily need to have watched Discovery to better understand it. Do you think that a character could exist that has PTSD, that is so broken that when he's sleeping, if he's woken up, he attacks the person who woke him up, even though that's the person he just had sex with and is apparently a love interest of his, or was a love interest, putting a knife to her throat, right? Someone who carries a weapon with him constantly, someone who has a Captain Kirk feel, has a Captain Sisko feel, but is a lot darker, and watched or was directly he either watched it happen or he was directly involved in why it happened, of his crew dying because he didn't want them to be tortured. What's your thoughts on that as a pitch, as a captain? Disappointed optimist. I'm surprised they made Lorca evil. The PTSD aspect of his character would have scored Discovery lots of representation points, like how they retconned Tilly to make her autistic. I don't think Tilly's autistic. A lot of people say that. I don't think people are autistic. Or Tilly's autistic. She just doesn't portray autism to me. I think having to be a defector from the mirror universe would have been interesting. Having him still be aggressive, but not as crazy as the rest of his universe. Let me tell you this. This is going to be some spoilers for what I'm doing in a new series. Let me pitch an idea for Lorca, for those who have seen it, and see what you guys think. So, instead of having Lorca killed and going this Trump stupid way, what if Lorca is still evil? He's still from the Terran Empire. He then he gets onto the ship. He's trying to kill Georgiou, right? You have the fight, the standoff between the two. And then, when Michael and Lorca are going at it, Michael gets the better, he outfights Michael. He has like a weapon drawn on her, or something of that nature. And then he drops the weapon, or he gives the weapon to her, and he says, "Look, I am from the Terran Empire. However, I work for this secret organization known as Section 31. Ever since I've been on this side, Section 31 has recruited me, and they wanted me to help them defeat Georgiou so that she wouldn't be able to come over and try to take over our side. I understand where you're coming from and the betrayal you feel, but I'm on your side because I'm Section 31. I was hoping that's where they would have gone with it. I think that would have been a very, very interesting take. Especially if you still want to keep him a villain, still keep him fighting Michael, and he can't be captain anymore. He could still work in the shadows. Still work with Section 31 while Discovery comes after him. Lauren Chandler, at Lore Reloaded, I feel Discovery was very much a show that reflects the time we're in, which includes war and not being able to trust those in charge. Yeah, I would agree with that. Another thing they could have done with Lorca, and then I'm going to address the Big E31 because he asked me about the stupid moment with what I'm talking about when I say the stupid Trump moment. But so what was I about to address? Wow, I lost it midstream. Another idea is if we were going to go the Trump side. Let's say that, all right, Lorca has to die. Lorca's not going to be in season 2. We want to tie it in to what's going on with Trump. Okay, I'm not necessarily against that. But you can't make it stupid like they did. What I would have is, if you're going to have a fight, if we have to have a fight because it's action and blah, 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 that's fine. But before that, let's have a war of words between Michael and between Lorca. And instead of making him stupid, where eating aliens is apparently not the pinnacle of being anti-alien. Let's have him give points that on the face of it sound right. Admiral Saval, are you ever coming on your Discord? I'll get on it in a second. I was having some issues. I might not be able to get on it tonight because it's not letting me and to do this. So, what was it? Yeah, so they have a standoff. They're having a conversation. They're going back and forth. And he's giving points that sound good, but may not necessarily be good. So let's say that he's saying, look at what happened in our universe. Aliens are horrible. They needed to be weeded out. Look at what happened. The Klingons attacked. They destroyed us. They look at what the Klingons are doing on your side. They're killing people. They're eating your people. Why would you be okay with that when they're eating your people? Look at how much they've destroyed the Federation. If you had a border between you, if you set up a border so that they couldn't get there, some form of a wall. If you look at the diversity you have, look at all the issues that it's brought up, right? Now, you could have Michael counter those things, or have Michael start being swayed by it. Have Michael start being interested in it, right? And towards the end, have him do something really evil, like an offhanded comment of racism against Saru, or an offhanded comment about how you'll just need to throw all of those aliens from the Federation. Or you can have her give good counters. There's a way to do this and not be stupid about it. Towards the chat, can you stop commands in the chat? Stop the commands in the chat themselves. The only way to stop that is if you go to Stream Elements and people can click on it and do it there. I don't know that I can stop it. I definitively can't do it right now. Now, the big E31 was asking an interesting question. What was the stupid Trump moment? I'm going to go ahead and get into this, but apparently nuance is dead among some people. So let me put this out here. Me saying these things doesn't necessarily mean I am for or against Trump. I've never really made my opinions clear on that. So I'm about to talk about this, and it's possible, by the way, I know this freaks some people out. If you're in the United States, I'm about to blow your mind. It's possible to say that people are in the wrong and still not agree with the person who the people are in the wrong are attacking. So people A are bullying people B. You can say people A are in the wrong and not be for people B. I know, blows your damn mind if you're in the United States. I get it. All right. In the show, we see Georgiou, who is the Empress, and she is like as evil as you can be. She has Michael choose a Kelpian, and then they eat that Kelpian. They eat an alien. This person, everything she does, everything she's about is evil. Now, you have Lorca, who says that she's not evil enough. The Empress that eats aliens, who was above Kronos and was destroying ships that were trying to escape from a planet that was exploding. This person isn't extreme enough, according to Lorca. While he's trying to take over the ship, he goes on the intercoms and he says, "Make the Empire glorious again." It's bad writing because there's no way anyone on the face of the planet would not think that she is not that she is somehow soft on aliens. So it's bad writing. The motivations make absolutely no sense. There's no reason anyone would be swayed by that. Number two, it is unnecessary to do that because of how blatant it was. All you've done is taken fans of Trek who just want to watch Trek, and you've divided them. You're talking to the choir with far left liberals, with far left identitarians, with far left social justice warriors, and you've made them happy and you've empowered them, and now you've told this tribe of people that they are the ones that are the true Trek fans. Anyone else who doesn't agree with them is not a true Trek fan. If they don't like this, they're bad people. And all they do is they love Trump. Then you have the not far left liberals, progressives. You have everybody in the middle, and then you have the right and the far right, who are now pissed off of something that didn't need to be included, and you've now divided the fan base. When Star Trek is all about us coming together despite our differences. It was character assassination of Lorca. It was unnecessary. It was agenda and bias based. And it just means that all you've done is turn people away from Trek. That's all you've done. You've gained nothing. You've lost more than you've gained in that. Fantastic. Congratulations. It was bad. It was a character assassination. And here's the thing that really pisses me off. Let's get into this for a second, and then I'm going to look at what you guys are saying. Here's the thing that really pisses me off. You want to know, and I'm going to get political for just a minute. You want to know why Trump won? Discovery is the quintessential, just the epitome of why Trump won. Just far left activists are, and if you haven't seen Jonathan Pye talks about this. Go watch his thing. Far left activists called everybody the devil, everybody the demon. If you even at any point agreed with any point that a Republican or Trump would say, you are garbage and worse than you deserve to be in hell. That is why, my good friends, Trump is elected and in office. Not because Trump was worth anything, but because far left activists pissed off so many centrists and empowered the far right to such a degree that they lost across the board. And if you continue doing stuff like Discovery, you're going to lose again. And that is not to say that I agree with it, that I think that Trump should be in power, that I want to see World War III happen. That's just that's just why things are the way they are. All right, let's see what you guys were saying. At Lore Reloaded, was there ever a canon explanation as to why Guinan, or whatever her name is spelled, that's how you spell Guinan, you did it right, was able to scare Q in the episode where he introduced Picard to the Borg? No, they never explained that. They never went into that. I wish they had. It would have been interesting. I'm from Scotland, so I'm not very well versed on the intricacies of American politics, just the basics, but I definitely see your point, says Aaron Alexander. Anthony Dukes, Laura's on a tear tonight. Yeah, I don't like getting into politics. I did politics for a long time on another channel. I'm done with it. I don't want anything to do with it. But it's just unfortunate because hey, at least Star Wars didn't get political. Oh wait, yeah. You know, if I was writing it, Big E31, Lord says the Steam avatars requires authorization. Go reauthorize. Look below. You'll see Steam stream avatars. Just click the authorization button. I think Star Trek is wonderful at doing agenda-based things, and they've always been left-leaning. Sometimes I agree with the points they're making on the progressive or left side. Sometimes I don't. But they've always done it in just a very interesting way that still felt like Trek. I've brought this up beforehand, but when you look at when Sisko goes back into it's Sisko, Bashir, and Jadzia. They go back in time, and they're put into this poor tent city. And at that time, there was actual talks of having like poor tent cities. And it's intriguing to me how they would do it. You would have transgenderism, which I'm not even talking about the Quark episode, but they would have transgender situations. You would have the first homosexual, not first, but you'd have interracial kissing. You would have homosexuality. And I mean, if you've been a fan for a while, you know I brought up, I was in a very, very right Christian 100% Christian household, and so to be introduced to females kissing and it just be normalized, like there's nothing to it. I think it was done well. They didn't throw it in my face. They didn't do it in a way that would have thrown up walls for me. They just said, hey, this is the future, and two females are kissing, and that's fine. That's the way it is. In DS9, there's a guy who gets pregnant, and they talk about that. Now, some of that was shock value just for the hell of it, but it was still normalized. TNG did it as well. The original series did it. It was never thrown in your face, and it was done very, very well, in my opinion. I was about to read something from Nate Watson, I think, and then the message got redacted. What's up with that? And that's at $20, man. Tell you what, Nate, do something else, and I will talk and address it. Because there's no way that you shouldn't get that should be addressed. Ever since I realized that article about Klingons are Trump supporters and fake news, I tend not to take these sort of things seriously. Well, here's an interesting point. They were supposed to make the Klingons were supposed to be the bad guys. They were supposed to be America divided, right? And then that didn't work out. People got pissed off about that, so they tried to do it with the Terran Empire. Michael Leith at Lore Reloaded. Exactly. They incorporate political elements into the story, not make the political elements the center of the story. That is exactly what I'm saying. And again, I really think that you could do an anti-Trump message, an anti-Republican message if you wanted to, but I think you could have done it better. I think the art of writing has been lost in that instance. Mr. Pete Channel has to head out, I think. See ya. Do you think that the Mirror Universe is a cop-out? You have a universe where anyone is bad, not Federation good, is now simply from the Mirror Universe as if you can't be bad normal. I think it could be used as bad writing. I think it could be used as a cop-out. What I found in my research of the Terran Empire is not everybody is evil. And it doesn't work exactly like this. It doesn't work 100% like this, but let me say it this way. The Terran Empire is, I somewhat believe, it's almost the same people, just in a different universe. Because some people are still good in the Mirror Universe. And so there's not a consistency there with it. Let me see. Sorry, guys. There was something someone said that I wanted to address. The Pregnant Trip episode is something that was a plot line for comedy, not Star Trek. I'm not going to get into it because I can get really riled. I do believe that what they did to Trip would not have been okay if it was a female. And I can get really riled about that because I'm not okay with rape. But the fact that Trip was pregnant, removing the scenario, Trip being pregnant would be another kind of point where they could have normalized guys having children. if that's the way they wanted to go. Now, whether you agree with it or not, they could have presented it in a way that might have given both sides or both points. Because Star Trek has done that as well. They've presented an issue and given both sides. Now, sometimes they don't. And if they don't, generally they lean left. But, you know. But anyway, I didn't mean to go as far off as I did. Prime Lorca got by Section 31. They find Mirror Universe and how Mirror Universe Lorca is near power. Section 31 could have done a Bashir recruit forced, and he is sent to infiltrate Mirror Universe. Let me ask you this. Here's an interesting question. Mirror Universe Section 31. Are they the good guys? Are they trying to hold the Terran Empire back from being too evil? Monster 1989. Now it's a true party. At Lore Reloaded, which of the 3 sci-fi series have realistic ships and warfare in space? Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica, the original series, or Farscape? I don't have too much knowledge of Babylon 5, but I would guess Babylon 5 or Battlestar Galactica, I think. With Battlestar Galactica, definitively, well, and the Furies, the ability to take advantage of space, since space is in 3D and you can go up, down, left, right, and you can turn yourself. And from what I understand from Babylon 5, the tactics used in that are a lot more realistic, a lot more military, in my opinion. Caravaggio 2012 saying, whoa, Section 31 aren't the good guys? From a certain point of view. The fact that Trip has an alien baby with half his DNA and it was never addressed or continued in some way, it would have been interesting to have Trip deal with a hybrid child. No, they definitely needed him not to keep the kid. That would have been very, very bad, in my opinion. Again, I don't want to get into... I'll say this. Trip was, in my opinion, raped. And to have him continue to have to take care of the child would be, especially if he didn't want it, would be the same situation as if that happened to a woman in real life. And I have no interest in that. There's a very bad episode. Lore Reloaded, what are some of the things that you like and dislike about the Discovery New Constitution class, the USS Enterprise NCC 1701? What are some of the things that I like about the New Constitution? That's really easy to answer. I don't like anything about it, so I'm glad I could get that out of the way. What do I not like? There's really not a lot we know about it, to be honest with you, so I can't really say what I do enjoy or I don't enjoy. I'm going to have to think about that one. What do I like and not like? I really don't like that they have the glass that you can see out of. They said that it's supposed to be... It was just a lie. They said that it was supposed to be a part of... It was supposed to be Prime Timeline. It's not. That's a lie. You can tell just by looking at the damn thing that it's not. I don't necessarily mind visual updates. I think it looks okay. I don't know. I'll have to think a little bit more on that. We don't know enough. Maybe in season 2 I can give you my opinion on it. Someone asked, is Star Trek dying? I do think it's dying. A lot of people get mad when I say that. And it may need to die, honestly. We may have told all the stories we can. They have already modified Memory Alpha and did have transparent aluminum. And they did have transparent aluminum. I don't care what they say. Memory Alpha is a wonderful resource and one that I use every time I do a Star Trek episode. I have made sure that I have added in my description that I cite them as a source. They're cited in most all my videos now going forward because I do use them and I use them a lot. The fact that it's on Memory Alpha does not make it gospel. Memory Alpha will tell you themselves, because I've talked to them, that they are a wiki and that they are updated by users and can be wrong in some instances. I'm not putting down Memory Alpha. I like Memory Alpha. I use Memory Alpha. I would suggest Memory Alpha to anybody. It is the resource to go to. Go to Memory Alpha over me if you're going to choose, but I hope you go to both. Just because it's in Memory Alpha doesn't make it right, though. Just because it's in a video I do doesn't make it right. And that's what I say about that. Big E31 has to go. Thanks for coming, brother. Always a pleasure. Anthony Dukes, Trek needs to die like the Jedi need to die. I don't know that it needs to, but it may. We may be at a point that there's no more good stories to tell. They retconned the Connie. They did, and I don't blame. Let me clarify too. I don't blame Memory Alpha for updating like they did. That's what I do. It's in I consider Discovery when I do any video now. Memory Alpha set the standard for me in a lot of ways. I don't agree with everything they do, but in a lot of ways, they set the standard for how I do canon. So I don't want it to come off like I hate Memory Alpha. I actually I really look up to them. But some people will sit there and say like Memory Alpha is like God, and I don't think any one source, unless it's CBS or Paramount, is God, in my opinion. At Lore Reloaded, I'd argue that you could use the Klingons as an allegory of 80s to 90s East Europe and modern U.S. politics. Leaders are focused on power and nepotism instead of the well-being of the people. Maybe. Lore, do you think Star Trek is aging out because the fan base is aging? Very much disagree, Lore. Trek could have still have good stories. We just need better writers. And those were kind of put together. I mean, I don't know. They're drastically changing everything because we're aging. Red Letter Media said this, and I do completely believe it. They don't care about killing off main characters in Star Wars. They don't care about killing off main characters in Star Trek or doing things like torture or implied rape. Because we are on the way out, right? We're going to die a lot. It is more likely that we'll die versus teenagers and the Z generation or whoever. So they're making it for those people to get them into Star Trek. So I think our Trek may be out. I think that may be why it's going down. I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to be wrong on that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's a lot more to tell with Trek. I sincerely do. A lot of people think that I want it to be that way, and I don't. I don't care as long as it's done well and fits naturally into the story. I agree. I like good storytelling. I'm college age, and I prefer TNG era Trek, so the young people argument isn't terribly effective. So the one thing I'll say to that, I could be wrong about what young people want. I've had people say, I'm young and I like this, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I would just have to see what's common with that. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Lore Reloaded. What if Cisco died instead of Jennifer at Wolf 359? Then Jennifer would have probably been the one to win the Dominion War? I don't know. I think Trek Universe just needs to be shook up. Let the Dominion or the Borg or whoever win and take over. That would be... See, I think that they could do a post-Dominion War and have either a big empire or a civil war within the Federation. That'd be interesting. Thomas Powell, I'm 15 and have grown up with your Star Trek. To clarify, I'm not saying that just because we grew up with it and that's what generally older generations prefer. Star Trek is for everybody, buddy. So if you like TNG, that's awesome. If you don't like TNG, that's awesome. It's whatever. I'm not trying to say that it's mine or we own it. I don't like True Scotsman's fallacies. If somebody likes Trek, then they like Trek. And people who call Discovery Trek, I don't have any issues with that. So I'm not huge on tribe on that type of tribalism, no True Scotsman, and I apologize if it came off that way. there's a lot more Trek to tell. Well, so talking about the Federation, I've talked about this before, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, but you guys enjoy talking about it. I think an interesting idea would be to have a post-Dominion War where you have a Federation, you have the Enterprise, pacifist, or not Enterprise, TNG, pacifistic way, people wanting to return to being scientists, and then everyone that's lost everything in the Dominion War, and just these militarized captains, and tell those stories. How does the Federation go back? Can the Federation go back? Should the Federation go back? Tell those stories. Thomas Powell, oh, sorry for misunderstanding. No big deal, buddy. I'm sorry if I came off wrong. I hate tribes. I hate tribalism. As I said, I used to do a channel where I was politics, and I just got so burnt out, and I got so tired, and I hate what politics turns everybody into. And so, I try not to do that. Now I can get tribalistic. Everybody does. It's our human nature, but. Morlinda Fish says, I was hoping that Discovery was going to be our Axanar. I would have loved to seen Axanar. All that aside, not looking at Alec Peters or anything like that, all of that drama aside, I wish they had told the story of Axanar. I really do. At Lori Loaded, Robert April was the first captain of the Enterprise, and the Enterprise was refit before Kirk took command. Sweet. The minor refit where they removed the bridge module and didn't have the aluminum anymore, because that makes a lot of sense. At Admiral Alexander, who would win? USS Enterprise, we're back to this again. USS Enterprise, USS Defiant, US Voyager, 3 Akazi classes, 5 Maquis Raiders, 6 Excelsiors, Lakota variants, 3 Akuras, Construction, the original series, versus a Borg Cube. Probably the Borg Cube. With all that, I'd say Borg Cube. Remember there were 2 captains of... Oh, you already said that. You could have a Maquis-like incident where a large section of the Federation tries to leave, but the government tries to stop them and leads to fighting. There have been multiple stories that never got told because it got axed at the last moment. But there have been multiple attempts to have Vulcan secede. They almost had it in The Next Generation. They almost had it in DS9. So here's an interesting idea. Let's say we had a resurgence of the Maquis, and the Maquis want to take the land that they had beforehand. This is after the Dominion War, so a very militarized Starfleet overreacts, comes in, and just pounds them to the nines. You have maybe a captain that was far, far too ambitious. Just does something Cisco would have done. Vulcan secedes, and several planets secede with it. The Romulans instantly come in and want to begin negotiations with Vulcan High Command, and possibly to have a merger. And Vulcan is considering joining the Romulan Star Empire. Now we have a ball game. I think that would be interesting from an interesting dynamic. Let's see. Someone asked, how do you explain the Klingons' appearance? Talking to Saval. But I wish that the Klingons' appearance had been just in the Klingon ship, that the Klingon ship had not been a part of the Empire for so long. Generations upon generations upon generations. That's why they evolved differently. I don't necessarily have a huge issue with the way the Klingons look, though, if I'm being honest. Klingons changed massively from the original series, the show, to the original series, the movies, to TNG, to DS9. And if you had jumped from the original series to DS9, people would have been absolutely pissed. But since it was slowly that way, so I don't get too upset about the reimagining myself. Now that was to Admiral Saval, but that's me. Nate Watson up in the house, single-handedly keeping this entire show running. Nate Watson, something I like about early Voyager is the interesting multi-episode stories. This was abandoned due to bad ratings. I worry Discovery's story arcing will be abandoned as well for similar reasons. I don't like Discovery's story arcs and this Days of Our Lives mentality. I would almost want a villain of the week. I would almost want a villain of the week. Not Discovery, Voyager-style villain of the week over this Days of Our Lives schlock. Because they don't do it well. Literally Days of Our Lives in space. There's this huge war, so many interesting things to do with this huge war, always happens in the background. Determined 8R Gamer. Something I want to say, Nate Watson was there for me too. Something cool about Determined 8 Gamer. Dude runs a channel, which is pretty cool. And he was big in helping and getting the word out when Lore Reloaded went down. He was there talking about it, sending people my way. Check him out. Has a gaming channel. I'm subscribed. Maybe you'll like him too. I don't think Nate Watson has a channel, or I definitely do that. I told Nate Watson, though, first con I go to and Nate Watson's there, I'm taking you to lunch, buddy. Taking you to lunch. Like a big lunch. We're not going to Hardee's, buddy. We're going to go to Applebee's, and it's going to be on me. Determined 8er Gaming. Here's $5. How about a shout out? LOL, I love your content and DS9 the best start. Wow, I didn't even read that about the shout out thing. He'll actually be included in a video I'm going to do next month at some point. But I would check him out. It's funny that he said the shout out, but I'm not just going to shout out somebody because they ask me to or they give me money. I just don't do that. It's really cool how he supported the channel and sent people my way when it was down. And that's not something I'll soon forget. Lore Reloaded. If the Federation went into a civil war, how would the Romulans, Klingons, and Cardassians react, and would they try to take territory? Klingons would probably either stay out of it or back the Federation. Romulans would work in the background to keep the fighting going for as long as possible. Cardassians post-Dominion War would either support Starfleet or stay out of it, honestly. Admiral Alexander, I never had the opportunity to watch Star Trek Discovery. You didn't miss much. Think the main reason for the darker themes in Discovery is because they were trying to emulate DS9. They weren't trying... DS9's good writing, so first they'd have to be good at writing stories for it to emulate it. True story there. True story. Lore Reloaded, it'd be great having a series following a warship, but the Federation having to reconcile going back to a scientific nature because of people who liked it that way. Yeah, a story about the Federation fighting for its soul would be very intriguing to me. What about the Typhoon, I always get that wrong, Typhoon Pact or Typhon Pact? I haven't read all of that yet. I'd like to, because a lot of people bring it up. From what I know about it, it's very interesting. I'd like to see if Kayla Detmar, U.S. Discovery Helm's chief, gets into a hot on edgy dating relationship with an Andorian male. Okay. Typhon. I still can't say. The O is soft, so it's Typhoon. Here's the Trek versus War question. Who would win in a fight? Klingon versus a Wookiee? Probably a Klingon, because he uses weapons. Whereas a Wookiee... assuming the Wookiee doesn't have the bowcaster. Bowcaster beats everything. Alright guys, we'll probably be ending this pretty shortly. Is there anything you want to talk about? Make a show based on an Akira class. Amen to that. I'd watch that in a second. You don't even have to read the rest of it. 14K Leum, late to the show. Just disappointed, 14K Leum. Completely and utterly disappointed, sir. I has a sad disappointed. Can you do a breakdown on the Federation starbase, the one that looks like a gigantic mushroom? Are you talking about Space Dock? Oh, something cool. I'll show you while we're talking about that. I'll probably break it because I'm picking it up. Anytime I do it on a live show. Yeah, look at this. D7, babies. How cool is that? K7, not D7. Now I'm about to break it. Watch. Oh. Old Firemaster back in the house. Can we do a stream on time travel? Sure. Some point. I'll definitely do that. Lore Reloaded. I think that Starfleet in the TOS era is far more reasonable than the TNG era. A modern ship with the survivability of a Constitution class. Yeah, you know, I think that TOS is more realistic. I'm going to be doing something called tech lore, where I start breaking down like the tech of different things. And shields in the original series make a lot more sense to me than they do in TNG. Everything seems to make a lot more sense. If you watch in the original series, it seems more realistic because shields have to power up. I may have to eat some crow when I talk about the Oberth in the future. Because I was talking about how the Oberth sucks and it was destroyed by a Klingon bird of prey. And I was like, they had 60 seconds. How the hell? They had shields up. It just sucks. But in the original series, it always took time, generally, for them to power up shields, which would make sense because you have to load and you have to start powering the shields themselves and get enough power to extend it. Unlike TNG DS9, where it just instantly exists. So that's interesting. Now, Nate Watson, who is the best, he wins the stream tonight, folks. Nate Watson wins the stream tonight. $50. If you guys don't know, this is completely fan-funded. So, you know, if you want to, if you find it, consider doing Super Chats. You can donate on Twitch. There's a donate button below. Or become a patron for as low as $1 a month at patreon.com/Lore Reloaded. Nate Watson in the house with $50 saying, speaking of post-war Cardassians, we learned a lot about Cardassian art in DS9. Now they've had a complete change of government and massive war. How will that affect art? Their allegory for Germany, will we see Cardassian expressionism? Damn, yeah, that's worth $50 because that makes me think. Huh. I guess I'd have to say, you can't lose as many people as the Cardassians did, because it was in the millions to billions, right? And just needlessly killed, too. We're not even talking about... we're not even talking about... we're not even talking about, like, during the war. We're talking about just needless death when the Dominion just started killing them just to kill them, right? And so that's going to reflect a lot in the culture, in the art, in the stories being told. And the Cardassians go from this authoritarian, dominating power who would defeat the Federation and would gain planets from the mighty Starfleet, from the mighty Federation, who would go into places like Bajor, rip every shred of resource that they had, and then leave. And now you have this defeated people. If I had to say, I could see it going a couple of ways. There would probably be a move. It'd probably be like Germany today, honestly. I think that you would have pre-Dominion War, some mythos about Cardassians, how great they were, how upbeat and steady they were. And then you would have the Dominion War, which would then make people hate being Cardassian. Very apologetic for who they are and who they were. I don't really want to get too political, but I think it is fair to say that when you look at Germany and how Germany, how the people of Germany, especially the political political treat themselves, it is almost, and I wouldn't say almost, I think that most Germans believe it to be a sin to be nationalistic, to have pride. And I think you'd see that in Cardassia. I think that you would have many Cardassians who would not like who they were when they were during the Dominion War. I think they'd be apologetic. I think any movement towards nationalism, any movement towards Cardassia for Cardassians would be possibly illegal. I could see that being illegal. I could see it going so far that they would exemplify the Federation, how great Starfleet was, how much it helped them. So you would have Cardassian culture where you would know who the bad guy was, who the killer was, and it was all about how they got there. Remember with Garrick? And then you would have it now just apologetic, more Federation ideals. I think it would have completely destroyed them. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And while I'm waiting for all that to get through, to get your guys' thoughts, I'm sure it's been, by Joe Cool McCall, I'm sure it has been said, but the Anti-Tractor supported you with the utmost faithfulness during your YouTube issues. You're quite lucky to have him on your side. He actually started out doing just stuff on my channel before he even started the Anti-Tracker channel. He's my best friend. He's 5 miles away. We actually live close together. And I was really happy, and I really pushed for it to get his channel moving, and I'm really happy that he's now at 5,000. He deserves to have as many subscribers as me. He is severely undersubscribed, in my opinion. But yeah, his doing a video within 5 minutes of talking to me on the phone was very touching, and I'm lucky to have him as a friend. I would agree with that, and I think he's severely undersubbed. Nate, I hope that answered your question. If it didn't, definitely give me more to it. I'd be happy to talk about it. Garrick is way better than Ducat. Change my mind. I love that that's a meme. I like using that meme too, the change my mind meme. It's hilarious. Until the end, Ducat was a really well-written villain until they made him insane at the end. At Lore Reloaded, did you know there are 4 variants of the Nebula class and that they have special abilities? I know there's multiple Nebula class variants. I don't know what you mean by abilities. My editor just joined us today. Yeah, and I got Anti-Trackers back. I'll be there for him regardless. Even if he had never done that, I'd be there for Anti-Tracker. Salil, you're still streaming? I left and took a shower. I actually intend to do this 4 hours, ultimately. Oh, he didn't like me petting him, I don't think. At Lore Reloaded, it'd be cool if there was a series following a medical ship. I'd have to see the writing. It could be good, but I'd have to see the writing. Let's see. Ducat was fine, as insane the first time. It was when they refused to just kill him and started the Pa Wraith stuff. I didn't like him when he went insane. I thought he was good. Anthony Dukes, I'm out of cash. Hey, you know, again, as I said, this entire thing, I do this for a living. It's completely fan-funded. I never want people to give money they don't have, though. I would prefer you, if you don't have money, don't do it. If you're, I want you to put food on your table and put food on your kids' table. So if you never have money, don't even feel bad about it. Just, you know, do what you can. If you can't do it, it's all good. Do you know what happened to Garrick after the war? My understanding is he took over the Empire. How long have you been streaming for already? Twitch does not have a time code. It's been over an hour, J.O. Smith. Why was Cisco the effing savior of the galaxy in DS9's final episode? They really wanted to do a lot with the prophets. I didn't hate it. I don't think it added a lot. But I didn't hate it. What was I going to say? There was... Man, I don't know. I wish I'd remembered. At Lore Reloaded, how would the Alpha Quadrant look if the Doomsday Machine was not stopped? And would the Federation, Klingon, and Romulans join the fight, the Planet Killer? I think ultimately they would fight. It would be very dystopian if it hadn't been destroyed, in my opinion. I'd love to see the Mako program come back post-Dominion. I would have loved to see the Mako program come back Dominion War. That would have made a ton of sense. The fact they got rid of the Mako project is just ridiculous to me. Just utterly stupid. At Lore Reloaded, I felt the Paw Wraiths were poorly used. The Paw Wraith cult had a point regarding the prophets ignoring Bajor's plight. It may have been an allegory for the Abrahamic religion. I've never, and that was from Nate Watts, I never looked at it that way. It's possible. The Paw Wraiths ultimately were villains of the week, and they didn't expand on them. I agree, I would like them to expand, which is awesome, which sucks, because they were awesome at expansion when it comes to other villains. They really made other villains sympathetic. Dukat, for a lot of his time, was a sympathetic villain, in my opinion. And the best villains are... Oh, I remember what I was going to say. The best villains are ones you can relate to and who are doing something for reasons that are either understandable or that you would do, but they're going about it wrong. I know there's been some friction and some friction we'll go with, but Trexpertise did an excellent video on Dukat, and I would suggest it to anybody. Lore Reloaded, Garrick became the power behind the democratic government of Cardassia. That I would agree. I don't know that they would have went democratic immediately, but I would agree with that. Starfleet doesn't seem to have anything except a navy. No actual mainline ground, air, or water forces at all. Just navy officers handed phasers. So here's an interesting thing. Now, we lost a lot of that because of the Next Generation. The Next Generation really took great ideas in the original series and just ignored them because they wanted to become pacifistic. They didn't want war because Gene got more control than he ever had in the original series and started writing bad storylines. In the original series, and I believe I forget the name of the episode, it was Yesterday is Tomorrow or Tomorrow is Yesterday. Kirk is talking and he's asked, what's your ship? Is your ship Navy? Is it Air Force? Is it Army? And he says we're a combined service. Which leads you to believe that the military, the Army, all of that still existed. And so it's unfortunate that they forced Starfleet to become this pacifistic, non-military entity in the Next Generation. Because I believe that existed in the original series. Am I looking forward to Star Trek Online's Victory is Life? I'm interested in it. I'm hoping that they'll work with me. They used to be very quick to respond, but for some reason they don't respond as much or are willing to work with me as much as they used to. So I hope I'd be interested to see where it goes. Which movie is your favorite of the original cast? Undiscovered Country, I'd have to say, is my favorite, probably. I'd have to think about it, but Undiscovered Country is up there. Joshua says, it was pointed out that they used Riemann shock troops and that Shinzon was a brilliant commander. They didn't say they were fearful. I don't remember them ever saying Riemann shock troops were ever used. I do know Shinzon fought in the Dominion War, and that's been confirmed. Though he didn't use the scimitar. Some people think they used the scimitar, which didn't exist at the time. Let me see. Toss episode Yesterday is Tomorrow. Yeah. At Lore Reloaded, Gene was so focused on Starfleet that we never see anything else. Just the Academy. No special forces, no army, and no real ground training. Elite Force got it right, in my opinion. I liked Elite Force. I think they did it. I think they did it right, too. I agree. Gene actually had far less control in the original series than he let on. Talking about the Anti-Trekker, the Anti-Trekker has a good series on this. Gene Roddenberry was actually held back quite a bit. Undiscovered Country was good, but had a severe lack of humpback whales. I think it was SF Debris, who did a great parody where you have the scene where the humpback whales are talking to the alien ship, and he's doing the subtitles of it, and it's just the humpback whales are like, "What the hell are you doing? We got brought all the way from the past for this ass. This is the dumbest. Why the hell are you even talking to us?" It's funny. Michael Leith, I'm going to head to bed. Thanks for the stream. Your channel has helped me over some rough spots. Michael Leith, as I said, if you ever need anything, feel free to send me a chat. Admiral Saval, it's not letting me load Discord, so I'm going to have to do it another time. I'm sorry, man. I'd love to have people on, but I think I've taxed my computer at this point. Used to. I hated the voyage home, but grew to love it. All right, last thoughts, people, and then I'm heading out. Tomorrow I will be coming out with the Miranda class ship. So I got to finish up that script and doing that tonight. By the way, just while I'm waiting on you guys' last thoughts, Monday and Tuesday I'll be on Twitch at about 8 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll be playing games. I tried it on Saturday, had some issues. I've gotten that fixed. So if you guys watched on Saturday, I'm sorry I had issues, but that's fixed now. It runs smoothly. I've already tested it. I'll be playing games. I'll be playing multiplayer games that you guys can join, and we can just have some fun. That's just going to be me hanging out. I'm not going to be entertaining like I usually do. Tuesday morning, I will be doing a Lore in the Past, which is my Lore in the Morning. So if it's like 3 a.m. in the morning for you right now, I do that for you. It'll be about 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Should be better for you. And then Wednesday, the Geek Breakdown will be YouTube only. If you like down here and you like what you're seeing down here, I will be doing YouTube avatars, which should be a lot of fun. Last thoughts, YouTube sucks. Never tells me when you stream, even though everything is on. Make sure you hit the bell icon. Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. Look up the Gemini effect on the Nebula class now, please. I know what the Gemini effect is, and it was fun in the game Star Trek Armada. Doesn't exist in canon, but it is a fun thing. Alright, I guess that is where we're going to end it, guys. Guys, I want to thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. If you are watching on Twitch, don't forget to follow and subscribe when I'm able to follow on that point. Guys, I'm going to see you on the next Lore Reloaded.